My record button. Happy Saturday morning, and that means it is time for Cynthia Hash to join us from Find Homes Realty to give us the reality of the most important thing we're ever going to do in the world of commerce, which is buy a house to find that permanence, or at least the permanence for right now. Good morning, Cynthia. How are you?
Good, good. I love helping people start with the generational wealth, and they have
Oh
to
yeah,
start somewhere.
this
And
is
so,
true.
yeah, we love it. And we are just in a very interesting situation, though, with something. I don't know if anybody's heard of the FinCEN, but what that is the financial crimes enforcement network.
Oh
And
wow.
so, and yeah, so you think, well, wait, financial crimes. Well, have hasn't everyone been a part, had someone scam them at some point? You've had to
Sure.
change your credit cards, or you've had to open up, move your money and open up a different bank account, or,
Hmm.
whatever. Well, that kind of stuff is happening all over the place. But this adds a little bit of uh, a little bit of an angle, I guess you would call it, that is trying to keep the residents from, or anybody in the United States, when they're coming in, they meaning anybody. It started with anybody, and now that it's been massaged, and I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Oh yeah.
So,
Sure.
yeah, yeah. So, and this is, and why is why should it matter? It does a little bit because when the government does get involved, even when they're trying to protect us, it means that there's going to probably be extra fees in some way.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and so this is what I want to go over, because here's the thing,
What
and
happened?
well, exactly. Well, the money laundering happens a lot. And when it's money
Okay.
laundering, it's usually, tr supporting some sort of crime.
Yeah.
And we've been exposing a lot of underground kind of crime.
Okay.
And some of this comes from what they do is these criminals are pretty smart, and some of them are even politicians, and so that kind of
That's
thing.
shocking to me.
But what's happened is that they put in this rule, the FinCEN did, and it was the a real estate report rule, and this was where the whole purpose of it was reporting information on any kind of transfers of certain residential real estate
Okay.
that were high risk for illicit finance. Okay.
Okay.
So that would mean a lot of people that are coming in. You remember during COVID, there were people buying houses all cash left and right.
Oh yeah, 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 absolutely.
Yeah. And so, but I think the purpose of this is to make sure that that they, basically combat and deter this money laundering, and that it increases the transparency in the United States residential real estate sector. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, that seems fair. So, I mean, are they saying people are buying houses to launder money? That seems like a pretty extreme thing.
It kind of does. But here's the thing, these um, entities, okay,
Uh-huh.
sometimes they'll open up a trust, or sometimes they'll, do something. It's some sort of, it could be a perfectly legal entity. But what these illicit actors do is they are laundering funds through the residential real property.
Oh gosh. So,
Exactly.
so they're taking ill-gotten gains,
Yeah.
buying a house,
Yep.
then selling, I guess, the house, and then taking that cash that has become clean because now it's just the money from selling your house.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so these things, okay, you can disguise yourself with calling yourself an entity or things like that. And but when they take the proceeds of the crime that and do things that they shouldn't be doing with it,
Hmm.
whether it's soliciting drugs or whether it's uh, you know, uh, crime in all different ways. So,
See, Cynthia
drugs,
and I are not
sex, crime.
criminals. Neither
We're
of us are criminal
no, we're
masterminds,
not.
so we don't know what they would
So,
be thinking to do
I'm
with it.
it just boggles my mind. I think there's so many good things that you can do with a brilliant mind. And why would they want to turn to crime? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But these kinds of things, it makes it more difficult to identify when they have this covering. So these illicit actors, let's call them, they favor non-financed transfers. And like in all cash, in other words,
Hmm.
because it typically avoids scrutiny
But isn't
from.
there like a level, like if you do a cash transaction over a certain amount of money, then it's going to be scrutinized no matter what? I thought. Again, not have ever
It
having that kind of money.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, yes and no, because a lot of times it's just because we get, as realtors, we always ask for proof of funds.
Right.
And if they don't want to give you proof of funds because they act all uppity or whatever, because no one's ever asked me that before.
Uh-huh.
Don't you know me? I'm famous and I have a lot of money and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But what happens is if you don't identify as a realtor, okay, and you're dealing with folks like that are all cash or highly wealthy or whatever, what happens is you don't know who you're dealing with.
Hmm.
And so you have to be very, very careful. And and the financial institutions are pretty good at making sure that any they don't want to finance terror
Oh,
terrorism,
sure.
for
Yeah, no, I
example.
understand that because
Yeah.
then, there was just some court cases about that, about truckers and things like that,
Hmm.
and trying to, loop
Yeah.
them in, even if they were not necessarily part of it. Sheriff Smith in Augusta County had a warning, and I think so did the Albemarle police, about people who would call seniors and scam them
Yes.
and then
Hmm.
send an Uber driver just to pick up a package.
Yeah,
And the Uber drivers are saying, "Oh, we didn't know. We were just hired for a pickup, a delivery service, a
exactly.
courier."
Yeah, that's
And
exactly right. And here's the thing. If you don't have a bank that and you don't have and quite frankly, having these people a lot of times they are, you know, um it's questionable and you have
yeah,
to actually say this doesn't smell right. you know, and and these um and if you ask for proof of funds and they don't want to give it to you, or you ask them, I'm talking about a realtor, and I as a realtor ask also for, I need to talk with you over Google Meet or over Zoom or something like that. And it's suspicious if they don't answer you and they don't want to do it the customary way of
okay,
making sure that you are a legitimate person.
that's interesting. So is the realtor like yourself?
Mhm.
Are you being, asked by FinCEN to scrutinize more thoroughly, or are they new rules that restrict? Because I know that when I bought my house 45 years ago,
Mhm.
um, we had pre-approval. So I just thought, we can pay you cash.
Mhm.
We're approved. And they said, no, it has to be done this way because you can't pay in cash. I don't even think our closing agent was going to take cash if we had it.
Mhm. No,
I
you
guess
have
under the
to.
same idea.
Well, it's wire transfer kind of thing. So that's essentially cash. And
Yeah.
if you wire transfer from one bank, your bank to theirs.
But there
But
were banks involved, so I guess therefore there's
there's
verifying.
yeah,
Okay.
there is a difference there. But I'm talking about cash as in it's not financed.
Right.
In other words,
Right.
it's one bank to another, or it's one person to another in a wire transfer situation.
Hmm.
And now there's I don't personally, as a realtor, I'm not the one that's required to file these real estate reports.
Oh, okay.
Who's going to be required to do that are the reporting people, essentially, or entities are going to be probably the ones who are the settlement companies or the settlement attorneys or things like that. So they have to have some sort of reporting system that they're going to have to use through the government
Wow.
to do that. Yeah. And so
Interesting.
this reporting is it kind of goes like this. It's like you've got the closing or settlement agent or attorney or whatever, and it has to, everything has to show up on the closing statement, just like any other real estate transaction.
Hmm.
And if you have an issue with going through the right channels like this, then don't you think that's a little suspicious? If you're
Hmm.
not willing to use a closing company or a settlement company or a an attorney or
Right.
whatever, and you're not willing to sign the paper with the realtor to even look at it, you know, that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
the person that files this is going to be is going to have to be those professionals and not realtors. We're the ones that are on the very front of all of this. This goes, by the time it goes through and title is transferred, the attorneys are taking care of that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But this has to be done and in a way that, they have to go online, they have to create an account, they meaning the settlement attorneys and so forth. They have to create an account and so forth, and actually provide information about who the people are involved in this cash transaction. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and because you get there are scammers out there that will show you their crypto and tell you they're worth millions, and and you don't you've gotta double check on them.
Sure.
So oftentimes they'll go, I can close in 10 days, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Usually that's another red flag. And
Right.
if they're that anxious, right?
Hmm.
And so basically what it is that they want to the settlement companies and so forth, they want us to be able to contact, the government in this way through FinCEN, and that they'll it'll involve like transfers of residential real property, and then it'll ask about what was the transfer. Was it financed or not financed? And then if it was not financed, then you don't have to report it. I mean,
Okay.
sorry,
Yeah.
if it was financed, you don't have to
Right.
report it. If it's financed, then you have to report it. So sorry, I
Mm.
messed up on that. But if it so part of the reason is because the financial institutions who are the lenders that are lending the money to individuals, okay, they're going to already check you out quite a bit. I mean, it's like when you go to get a mortgage to purchase
Oh,
a
yeah.
house, it's like a financial colonoscopy.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And
Yeah,
because the bank's going to be technically fronting you this money, a
exactly.
percentage of it, whatever. What about these? these signs you see on the telephone poles and such, we'll pay cash for homes, and stuff like that. Is that stuff people should be wary about?
Well, I think a lot of times there's local investors that are out there that are putting up what they call bandit signs.
Oh, is that
And
what they're called?
that's what they're called. And those signs are you it's are a little deceiving, quite frankly, in a lot of ways, because they don't necessarily pay all cash up front. Typically, the person who's going to call them
Hmm.
is the person who's in financial trouble.
Okay.
Yeah, and so those kinds of folks are they might have an extra cash and they might say, okay, well I'll give you 30 grand, but then I'll do a subject to whereas I'll start paying your mortgage for you as the investor, that
Okay.
kind of thing. That's a whole other show.
Okay, no, I see, and you're talking about people who are doing cash transactions and things like that. So,
And then that's why you brought up the bandit signs, because that totally
but that's a different
coincides to
thing.
some degree. It is a little bit different, but
Okay.
what'll happen is those people will then, have to, if it is going to be all cash, that kind of thing, they will end up being scrutinized,
Okay.
essentially,
By
and
FinCEN.
by FinCEN, yeah, or well, FinCEN is saying, you settlement company and attorney, we want you to do this part of it so that they can take a look at whatever entity that is.
Hmm.
And so the transfer, is can happen, and it legitimizes the transfer of the property.
But it could
That's
slow something down
a little
or,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if you can't find anybody and you start, really questioning and what is going on and where is this person? This entity doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Then you start, if it starts slowing it down, it could be that's not a legitimate party that's trying to make the
Hmm.
purchase. And so therefore it could be someone who is, it's some sort of company that they've just made up to cover up their criminal actions.
So,
So,
are red flags like if you say, well, here's my closing agent, and they say, no, 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 let's just, be menches about it and do it by
yeah.
cash and stuff like that.
No, not just cash, but how about I'll put the money directly into your bank, or I'll put the
Oh,
money direct, those kinds of things, and there's no
wire
settlement
transfer.
there. Yeah, exactly. And they might wire transfer it and then pull it right back out if they can, or it could be, you sign here, you sign they could coerce you into signing the deed over
Oh gosh,
before.
that's not good.
Yeah, this is why you have settlement agents and settlement attorneys. This is huge. That's what's happening is there's so much corruption that's so deep that is covering up, sex trafficking and covering up all these. They try to take and disguise their criminal actions through legitimate means.
Right, right. Yeah, so it looks
Hmm.
laundered. That's where the phrase comes from.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
So, is this something that a realtor like yourself could get in trouble for not reporting? Or you said it's really on the closing agents. So I guess, making sure you
Yeah.
have a reputable one of those.
Well, exactly. And your realtor will know who locally you can use. This is another thing, is use local.
Yeah.
By golly, use local, because I'll tell you, I just went through, even though it has nothing to do with criminal or anything, but when you're doing settlements and the settlement company is coming from who knows Timbuktu, and you're using that company just because the lender tells you to,
Hmm.
maybe you shouldn't do that. You know, how about thinking it over and use local so that you can literally hold those people accountable, you
Yeah.
know?
No,
Hmm.
I could see that being a big thing. I had no idea. So now, when the federal government does this, is this something new that a realtor has to learn about, or does DOJ provide, some education? So, because
We
I'm
have to
sure of all the things you are, Cynthia, an FBI agent isn't one
I'm
of them.
not, no. So if you go to FinCEN.gov, that will give you everything you need to know about it. You don't need to worry about it really, quite frankly. The residential real estate rule itself is FinCEN, that's FINCEN.gov/RRE.
Okay.
And so you can go right there. It'll give you FAQs and all that kind of stuff. And frankly, going to just knowing about this, your realtor should know about this. So that it can be handled correctly. I will tell you that a federal judge in Texas, okay, they do
Around here,
came
where we
about,
are right now.
and they shot it well because this is a nation. FinCEN is nationwide.
Yeah.
Okay, and so all the BSA e-filing systems, which is BSA means Bank Secrecy Act, all
Uh-huh.
those forms, all those, and so forth. Okay, all of that is supposedly happening and was supposedly in place. So they have an e-filing system for the settlement companies to use. But what happened just recently is a federal judge in Texas basically, you know, kind of stuck a pin in the bubble for FinCEN and said, "Listen, it's an overreach
Wow.
because it should only be applicable to foreign companies, not domestic." Okay.
Okay.
And that it's supposed to basically it's supposed to protect the United States from uh, anybody illegal, whether they're immigrants or not, or any entities from any other countries basically taking over essentially
Huh.
and utilizing those that laundered money against us citizens.
Huh.
That's what it's supposed to be. But Republican Judge Jeremy uh, Kernodle, I think, is the one who said, "Hey, it's an overreach." And so what happened was the FinCEN took an additional look at it and said, "Well, okay, here's what we're going to do." They adopted what's called an interim final rule,
Okay.
and that exempts domestic reporting for companies that, unless there's a foreign report, something foreign about it that will be a red flag.
Okay.
So the idea is to protect us, but it would have bogged down, I think, if it was a blanket thing for all companies, regardless, it would have bogged down the real estate industry a little bit too much.
Okay.
If it what if you included like Find Homes Realty, we're gonna buy a piece of property, and
Well,
or
aren't there some real estate companies that will guarantee, or at least there used to be up in New York State, they would guarantee to sell your home, and that guarantee eventually, I guess, turns out to be the real estate company buys your home after 6 months of trying, or something along those lines. I've seen the ads
yeah.
for those, not recently, but maybe they don't do
No,
it
you'll
anymore.
get those will come about again. It's just
Okay.
not the time, because people know that they can, get what close to what they want for the
Okay.
property that they're selling. But I've seen those too, and 9 out of 10 times it's pennies on the dollar.
No.
And so
When you're
so
desperate.
the consumer, who knows, but the consumer is an extremely vulnerable when it comes to tr people wanting to take advantage. And
Yeah, I can
uh,
imagine.
yeah, and I think when when that would work would be, okay, my debt is really, really, really low. I'm trying to sell my property. My debt is very low, but I just lost everything. And my job, my spouse died, my no life insurance. I don't have any savings. I
Liquidation. Yeah.
some sort, and I need to liquidate that home. And at that point, then it makes it business sense for those companies that might come over and say, "Hey, we'll rescue you. We'll just pay off your mortgage, and that's what we'll buy the house for."
Yeah.
Or,
I see.
that kind of thing. And I'm sure there's others that do it different ways, but I want to remind everybody, just have a look go to findhomesusa.com and go over to podcasts and listen to the other. We've been doing this for a year and a half now, I think, and it has
Happy anniversary.
yeah, right. So I think that we enjoy educating and helping people understand things on a kind of a not even playing field, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I think because it's not something. I mean, there are people who are moving in and out, buying, selling homes more
Mhm.
frequently than that. I do know them, but most people, it's a buy-in squat. You buy it, you're going to live there for a while. But
Well, here's the thing, is
yeah,
that National Association of Realtors says that I mean, it used to be where 10 years ago, maybe on average, people would sell their house every 7 years, right? Now,
mm,
they're keeping them longer, and I think it had something to do with COVID because we're still living in the wake of that.
sure,
But now it's 11 years, because of all the inflation and things
right,
like that. So I think it's going back up in regards to how many years people are staying in one home.
okay.
You got to think about this. You go all the way back to the 50s and the 60s, your parents, your grandparents
Oh,
or
I
whatever,
know,
they lived in the same house for 40
forever,
years,
right?
you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. My kids, they look at the house we purchased and they're like, none of us ever lived here. We lived in the one we were renting in Fry Spring. That was where
Yeah.
we grew up. But
Mhm.
it is a different world than that. It is, needs
Yeah.
change, lifestyle changes. I mean, how many of our parents, didn't use whole sections of the house because they couldn't get to them anymore or things like that.
Yeah, and that's a whole other show as well as hoarders.
Well, or hoarders or people who can't get up and down stairs to basements or
Or
second
somebody who
floors. Yeah.
can't get, that's exactly right. And that's why
Yeah.
more and more builders, thank goodness, are building houses that are m- m- more friendly to folks that can't
Yeah. Mobility.
move around. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you
So
so much, Cynthia. That's fascinating stuff. And, everybody's got an angle, I guess.
all the time.
Yeah. Thank you for that educational journey here on First Thing, this Saturday morning and the reality of real estate. And Cynthia, you can find her at findhomesusa.com. And like she said, podcasts there. You have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.